Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for June 6th, 2025. We have Money in the Bank less than 24 hours away. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. Now, let's get into Money in the Bank. A lot of speculation about who might win the ladder matches. We had a few developments on SmackDown. We kicked off the show with Seth Rollins and his alliance, dangerous alliance, whatever you want to call it. Rollins said that he is the main force to deal with in Money in the Bank. He will take everything after he wins the briefcase. He said that Roman Reigns is not coming to save them, save the fans. Reigns, according to Rollins, doesn't care about the fans. Rollins said nobody can stop him, but then Solo Sikoa's music hit. The New Bloodline came down to the ring. We had a face-off between the two factions. Solo called them a little bloodline, and then Rollins responded by calling Braun Breaker the future of the industry, something that Solo isn't. Rollins said that their group should be threatening, and Solo should feel threatened. Then it was brought up how Solo's own family, and Rollins looked over at Jacob Fatu, would rather stab Solo in the back. Rollins then called Jacob Fatu Solo's bitch. Things got very heated. We had Jacob Fatu and Braun Breaker going face-to-face, but then Rollins' group decided to back off. They left the ring, and then Jimmy Uso jumped the bloodline, and that set up our first match of the evening, Jimmy Uso versus JC Mateo. JC got the upper hand for a while, and then Solo was once again talking trash outside of the ring, saying that it's not too late for Jimmy to return to the bloodline. Jimmy was distracted by Solo, but then after the commercial break, it went back and forth. Jimmy hit the spear, went up top, but then Solo got on the apron, and so did Jacob Fatu. However, JC accidentally knocked Fatu off the apron. Jimmy rolled up JC and got the 1-2-3 victory. Despite the interference, Big Jim pulled off the win. Solid opening here to the show, creating more tension between Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Shout out to the This Guy Experience, who was originally supposed to be on our predictions video. He ended up missing it. He says, sorry again for missing predictions. NXT time. No worries, This Guy. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. We'll get you on for the next one. Backstage, Damian Priest approached Fatu and said he doesn't envy Fatu with the drama in his group. Priest has experience with Judgment Day. But Priest said that despite that, at some point, he is coming for the U.S. Championship. Next up, we had Zelina Vega come into the ring for a Bakersfield brawl with Piper Niven. I feel like we've seen these two wrestle several times, but that's just me. Now, before the match, Zelina and Giulia had a little face-off, and Zelina said that Giulia will have to pry the title from her lifeless body. We had our Bakersfield brawl, which was a very mild, hardcore match. You did have kendo sticks being used, and Piper had a chain that she was using on Zelina Vega, and then Zelina regained control with a DDT onto the chair. She came off the top of the moonsault to the outside onto the secret Hervis, which included Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. And then Zelina managed to hit an avalanche code red to Piper, but Alba interfered. Chelsea Green attacked Zelina. They set up a table in the ring, which is one of those new Slim Jim tables that's part of Slim Jim's renewed sponsorship with WWE. But then we had Giulia coming out there and actually helping Zelina Vega. And with that help, Zelina was able to powerbomb Piper out of the corner through the Slim Jim table. They snapped the Slim Jim table, and Zelina Vega got the 1-2-3 victory. Now, after the match, Giulia raised Zelina's hand, but then it was a swerve. Giulia turned against Zelina and left her laying. They're obviously building this up, and I think Giulia is a great candidate to beat Zelina. The only negative to this is it really makes me feel like Giulia has no chance of winning Money in the Bank, because you're already building up her doing something other than going for the world title. She's going to be going for the women's US title. I don't see her winning now. That's the only negative to this whole thing, but I do like the idea of Giulia being the one that dethrones Zelina Vega. I really think they need that title change. Match was all right. You know, it was a very basic hardcore match. Backstage, we had Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, reuniting. They were there with Cody Rhodes. And we had an Aleister Black video package to build up his match on SmackDown with LA Knight. Yeah. LA Knight came to the ring for the match, and he talked about Money in the Bank, said it's his third Money in the Bank in a row. It's going to be 3 times a charm. He ran down the names one by one and told Aleister Black he only did what he had to do in a 3-way. Yeah, he stole the pin, but in a 3-way, that's the way it goes. So we had this match between LA Knight and Aleister Black, which I thought was a good match. It was competitive back and forth with both of them. Crowd actually did chant "This is awesome" at one point during the match. But then LA Knight sent Aleister Black out of the ring with the burning hammer. And at this point, Seth Rollins came in with the curb stomp for the disqualification. And Aleister Black got in the ring, confronted Rollins, but then Braun Breaker speared Aleister Black. And then he also gave a spear to LA Knight. So LA Knight on the go-home show was left laying courtesy of Seth Rollins. I did go with LA Knight as my primary pick. Make sure you guys watch the predictions video if you missed it. I did go with LA Knight, and I feel stronger about my pick at this point. I don't think Rollins is winning, and we'll talk more about that in just a few moments. We had an announcement from the general managers, Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, and they did confirm King and Queen of the Ring will be returning. And there will be a tournament throughout this next couple of weeks, and the finals will take place at Night of Champions. And the winners will get title matches against the champions of their choosing at SummerSlam. And they did announce that Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair are in the tournament. One positive, one negative. Positive for me, I'm glad we're getting the winners facing the champions at SummerSlam. I think that's always the way it should be. The negative, well, I guess there's 2 negatives. One negative is that it's right after all these Money in the Bank qualifiers, and now we got tournament matches. It just feels like more time filler. That's the first negative. Second negative is I think they should just do a one-night tournament. I miss the one-night tournaments. I wish WWE would bring them back. You know, that would make the tournament concept feel a little bit fresher because we get all these tournaments that drag out on TV. WWE does it. AEW does it. But we never get one-night tournaments. That would be a breath of fresh air as far as I'm concerned. That's my take on it. But again, I'm happy that they're doing the SummerSlam matches. So at least there's something on the line in these tournaments. At this point, I don't know who wins King and Queen of the Ring. I'd have to see the full lineup. But, you know, Charlotte or Jade could be strong candidates on the women's side. We'll have to see who else gets added to the match. Maybe Stephanie Vaquer if she's in it. We had a Legado del Fantasma video package to hype up their match coming up at Worlds Collide. I'll be recapping both shows on No DQ. I'll be doing a live stream after Money in the Bank. I will also be giving my thoughts on Worlds Collide. So make sure you guys check that out. We had Chad Gable backstage, and he talked about how he was bummed out about not being in Money in the Bank, but happy El Grande Americano was in it. He said that he's going to beat Vikingo at Worlds Collide. And then we had Andrade and Penta coming in. They were talking trash in Spanish, and this basically set up Andrade and Penta going up against the Creed brothers. More on that in just a few moments. Tiffany Stratton, the women's champion, came to the ring for a Money in the Bank promo. She was interrupted by Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley brought up how she never needed to win Money in the Bank, and she's missing the feeling of being champion. And then Stephanie Vaquer came out there, and we had our 6-woman tag team match with the Money in the Bank participants. We had Alexa teaming up with Stephanie and Rhea Ripley against Naomi, Giulia, and Roxanne Perez. The crowd loves Stephanie. They booed when Giulia countered the Devil's Kiss, but then when Stephanie got it on Naomi, the crowd was hot for that. And they were really hot for Rhea Ripley. When Rhea Ripley got the hot tag later in the match, the crowd was going nuts for her. She hit the razor's edge to Roxanne, but the pin was broken up. Then everybody was in there. And then Roxanne countered the Riptide with a DDT, which looked really good. Crowd chanted, "Holy shit," for that one. And then Naomi tried to come in, but the three faces were on fire. So Naomi just walked out on Roxanne. And then Rhea was able to pin Roxanne with the Riptide, which definitely reinforces my opinion that Rhea Ripley will not be winning Money in the Bank. And furthermore, I feel like it makes the odds of Roxanne winning greater because she took the pin in this match. Historically in WWE, and granted this was a different regime, but the person who loses right before Money in the Bank tends to win Money in the Bank. I don't know if they're going to change it up this year or not, but, you know, Roxanne was one of my picks. I could see her winning it, but Naomi, I think, would still be my main pick. I would not be shocked, though, if Roxanne gets the win. A good match here. It was a good match, and Rhea is definitely on the roll right now. Backstage, Solo Sikoa was talking to JC Mateo, and Fatu was not there. And Solo said Fatu is all gas and no brains. They walked off, and then it was revealed that Fatu was just around the corner, and he overheard that diss from Solo Sikoa. The plot thickens. Very similar to when Batista heard Triple H talking trash behind his back. So, yeah, we're going to see what happens with that, but I have a feeling these guys are going to come to blows very soon, and that it likely means no Solo Sikoa win at Money in the Bank. Shout out to Jason M., who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Jason. Says, to be honest, the WWE Renaissance is dead. He says he's all in. I've seen some fans frustrated with WWE. Is this the beginning of a turnaround for AEW and a decline for WWE? We'll see. I mean, we've talked about WWE potentially being on the decline. Business-wise, they're still red hot, but could AEW potentially win back some fans that they lost? We'll have to see. I mean, it feels like it could be trending that way, but I still think it's too early to tell. All right, let's move on here. We had another Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy videotape. They're upset that I guess people were forgetting about them. They've come back not for nostalgia or closure, but they're going to take what they are owed. I'm kind of bored with these vignettes, but the crowd still loves these guys. I just hope WWE does something with them. Like, what's the point? Like, you just have them around and they're not really doing anything. But apparently, the other tag teams are all taking them seriously because backstage, literally all the other teams were discussing the situation. And everybody, with the exception of DIY, the Street Profits, Fraxium, and Motor City Machine Guns, they all want a piece of the Wyatts. But DIY, they're cool just kicking back and letting the other teams do the dirty work. We then had another tag team match. We had Penta and Andrade against the Creed brothers. Penta and Andrade did dives over the top onto the Creeds before the bell could even ring. And they were dominating for a while, but eventually Julius was able to launch off Brutus with a knee to Andrade. Creeds got the upper hand for a while. And then after the commercial break, Penta started to build up momentum. Chad Gable tried to rip off Penta's mask. Vikingo, who's the AAA Mega Champion, he'll be fighting Gable at Worlds Collide. He jumped the barricade, attacked Gable, and then back in the ring, Andrade hit the back elbow to Julius, and then Penta won, pinning Julius with the Canadian Destroyer or the Mexican Destroyer. So they build up a little bit of momentum for Money in the Bank. I don't see them winning. Whether they won or lost on this show, I didn't see them winning. Or I don't see them winning. And after the match was over, Seth Rollins' team showed back up. Triple threat beatdown on Penta and Andrade. And then after the commercial break, Paul Heyman cut a promo in the ring. He referred to Bakersfield, California as Baker's Bitches. And they said they're not afraid of the future because they are the future. And he was hyping up Seth Rollins winning Money in the Bank. But then Cody Rhodes interrupted and he came to the ring. And then Jey Uso came to the ring. We had a commercial break. And apparently Seth Rollins whispered something to Cody and then left the ring. So it was just Cody and Jey in the ring after the break. Rollins had left. Rollins looked really strong on this show. I don't think he's winning Money in the Bank. Final segment. Cody called John Cena, the world champion, desperate, saying that Cena threw away 20 years of goodwill to become a 17-time world champion. John Cena made his way to the ring, and he had the ring announcer do the introduction, but then it was a setup because Logan Paul came into the ring and knocked out Jey with the brass knuckles. John Cena hit Cody Rhodes with the championship again, and they did the beatdown, AA to Jey, pulverizer to Cody, and then John Cena got on the mic and he said, nobody is coming to save them. The dream of WWE is going to be ruined. And at this point, the crowd started chanting, "We want truth," in reference to R-Truth, who was not on the show because WWE is not renewing his contract. And John Cena actually responded. Either he was thinking fast on his feet or John Cena had a line prepared if the fans were chanting for R-Truth, because he responded and said that the people cannot handle the truth. And he said, if you want the truth, it's staring you right in your face. He called the people liars. The crowd just chanted, "We want truth," even louder, but Cena kept going, and he said that the winners write the history books. And he held up the WWE Championship. Logan Paul held up the World Heavyweight Championship, and then they continued the beatdown some more. An AA to Cody Rhodes, and Logan Paul took out Jey Uso again, and John Cena and Logan Paul were standing tall to end the show. I'm feeling more confident about my prediction. I did go with Cody and Jey to win, and they were both laid out. Heels stood tall on this show. So other than the Becky and Lyra match, I feel confident with my Money in the Bank predictions. More confident than I did when we did the predictions video. So there you go. Overall, I thought SmackDown was average, but I did like the end. I think John Cena did a very good job referencing the R-Truth chants. To me, that was really the highlight of the show. I think SmackDown ended on a high note for what was otherwise just your average show, average go-home show. Nothing really groundbreaking, just sticking to the formula. I'm going to give it 6 out of 10. Good SmackDown overall. I enjoyed it for the most part, but there was some filler. Shout out to Jason M., who sent in another $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Jason. I appreciate it. It says, too many ads and thoughts on WWE counter-programming AEW. Well, yes, there are a lot of ads. The ads don't really bother me all that much because I like to take my breaks between the matches, but I guess it could change for each person. Like for me, I'm taking notes and trying to update No DQ, so I do like the ads, and I like having the bathroom breaks when the ads are on. You know, I can get up, grab something to eat or drink. As far as the counter programming goes, it's something WWE has done for decades, like going back to the 80s. It's nothing new. It just goes to show that WWE does, in fact, see AEW as competition, and they're trying to hurt the competition. There's nothing new about it. They've been doing it for decades. But hey, it just goes to show that AEW is legitimate competition because WWE is making the effort to try and hurt them. With TNA back in the day, like we're talking 2010, WWE didn't even really care. They would barely do anything on those Monday nights against TNA. Like they didn't really make an effort to go head to head with TNA. They just didn't take TNA seriously. I think they do take AEW a lot more seriously. So that's my take on it. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com this weekend for coverage of Money in the Bank, and I will also be recapping Worlds Collide. I'll be on after Money in the Bank to discuss both shows. Enjoy Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.